We need to talk about the latest wave of Battlefield 6 leaks that have come out, because they're certainly causing a bit of a stir in the community. There's some good stuff in there, quite a lot of good stuff actually, and some not so good stuff. And I want to get your thoughts and opinions on this because, well, it's you guys who are playing the game, and I think it's your opinion that matters the most. There were a couple of different Battlefield Labs tests over the last week or so, some from the Chinese version of the game where the content ended up on Bilibili and other websites, and then there were some other tests too, and they revealed quite a lot about Season 2 and what is coming in the future for Battlefield 6, so let's get into it. So we're going to start with the first of the Season 2 maps, Contaminated. This was most of the leaked gameplay that I saw emerge over the last week. We've had an official image here for a while, so we know the general look and the feel of the map already. It's quite reminiscent of Monte Grappa from Battlefield 1 with the mountainside and the tall pines and the exposed rock and things like that, but now that gameplay has leaked, we've actually got a much better understanding on how this map is going to play. Generally, it looks like a pretty good map. It's got a lot of elevation on it, which is something that maybe outside of Liberation Peak we don't currently have in Battlefield 6, so that's good for gameplay variety. And we now have this proper understanding to the teaser that we saw for Season 2, the soldier emerging from the smoke or the gas with a gas mask on. This map, Contaminated, has some environmental gas effects on it, and we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. The map has quite a few submerged, like, underground interior spaces on it compared to Monte Grappa. If you remember that map, it had just a couple of guns that were sunk into the mountainside, really. But Contaminated, it's set on this military base, so there's lots of underground sections that are cut into the hillside completely, and they offer these tighter play spaces, which look kind of interesting. Those interior spaces, a lot of them have got different levels to them too. Some different pathways open up with destruction and things like that. So the gameplay on it will have a good mix between infantry and vehicles, I think. The outside areas will be obviously more vehicle dominated. We've got the new Little Bird heli on the map as well, so that's something to look forward to. And then the inside areas, they are more infantry focused. There is one objective under a big hill in the middle of the map that has a road running right the way through it. Again, very reminiscent to Monte Grappa from Battlefield 1. So vehicles will be able to mix it up with infantry in certain areas, and there's a couple of outside objectives too. There's lots of interplay between infantry and vehicles. It's just that it feels like the interior spaces specifically are designed for infantry. In terms of the size of the map, it doesn't look too much bigger than some of the others we already have in Battlefield 6, but by no means is it a small map either. It's not big and open, but it's not tiny. It's just sitting somewhere in the middle. I think it's along the lines of Eastwood. It's got some tighter areas and some more open ones spread across a larger map than those densely urban ones that we got at the launch of the game. It's probably a little bit bigger than Eastwood overall, but it's not the size of Mirac Valley or Firestorm, that's for sure. There are a couple of destruction events on the map. There are several locations where you can access different routes onto objectives by blowing open rock faces, so that's going to change up the map flow a little bit. And there's even a roof that you can blow open, and it gives you access to one of the bunkers below. It's certainly going to offer a different style of gameplay than previous maps based on the gameplay that I've seen so far. It's not really like any other map in the game, and I think that's a good thing because the Season 1 maps were just very much more of the same. There are a couple of unique destruction events on this map that aren't present anywhere else in the game at the moment. There's a couple of like rock walls that you can blow open and destroy with explosives, and it gives you another access point to an objective, which is pretty cool. And then you can even blow up the roof of one of the objectives and then drop in from the top, which is really nice. One negative, I will say, from the gameplay that I've watched, I got to see like a map overview from the spawn screen. There does appear to be quite a bit of unused space around the outskirts of the map, a little bit like on Eastwood actually. You know, where you've got the golf course, but there's no objective over there, so no real incentive to go and fight over there. It looks like the devs have done that again here on Contaminated. There's this pine forest towards the top edge of the map, and there's just nothing over there. There's no conquest point, there's no buildings or anything like that. It kind of feels like completely underutilized space, but it's inside the play area, so it really is just completely dead. Of course, I was watching Conquest footage, so it might be used on Breakthrough or Rush, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Now, one thing we really do need to talk about on this map are the areas of it that are contaminated, haha, the name, with gas. It sort of lingers around a couple of the different capture points, and it's this weird orange color, which ironically looks nothing like the teaser image because that was green. But yeah, this gas is hallucinogenic. So stick with me here. I'll try and explain this for you. From the gameplay I've seen, when you step into the gas, you can put a gas mask on and it stops you taking damage. So pretty much like lots of other games that have this gas mechanic. But if you're in the gas without your gas mask on, you'll start to take a little bit of damage, which I think we would all expect. But also, you'll start to see these shadowy looking figures running across your vision. And they're not actually real. They're just a visual effect. But maybe you could kind of mistake it for a real player. I wish I could show you an image because it would just clearly show you why I'm a little bit nervous about this. But essentially, yeah, dark shadowy figures just start moving across your screen once you've taken significant health damage from this gas. Now, your health will reach a low point and it won't go any lower. So this is basically a reuse of the cold effect that we saw on the snowy Empire State map. But I'm wondering what they're doing with it because really to me, we're supposed to be playing a grounded military-inspired shooter, and now we've got this weird ghost shadow thing running across our screens if we start to take damage from the gas. So I'm not really sure about that one. I've got to say, the idea of having some of the objectives have gas lingering on them is cool. And if the gas was just like a damage-based one, where if you put your mask on, you're protected. If you take your mask off, you'll take damage and start to cough. That would be absolutely fine for me. It would kind of be how it worked in Battlefield 1. But these weird hallucinations, I think that's a step too far. Plus, Battlefield 6 has lost a lot of its goodwill already. We've had key features missing, this messy launch, a poor Season 1, way too little content, and now we're getting hallucinogenic gas on the new map. If it were up to me, I'd just disable the hallucinations and keep it damage-based. That's probably good enough as it is, and it kind of sets it up as a unique map in Battlefield 6. But maybe let me know what you think in the comments. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on that one. There's also plenty of footage out there right now of the new weapons. In the Labs build, I think there were 3 new primary weapons. The MG5 was one of them. There's a new DMR, and then the VHX rifle that we got in Battlefield 2042. I'm probably most excited about the MG5. It's like the successor to the MG4 that was really popular back in the Battlefield 4 days, so that's awesome to see. And if we're just getting 3 at the launch of Season 2, that's fine, but I think we should get some more weapons in the season as it goes on. I've said before that Battlefield's handling of live service just isn't really up to scratch compared to the old premium DLC model. Some of those had up to 10 different weapons added, basically giving you a whole new game's worth of guns for you to unlock and rank up and master with a new DLC. So I'd like to see the devs put in a bit more time in the weapons department and bring more of those to the game. I'd probably say like 6 or 7 a season would be pretty good. Maybe have 4 at launch and then drop 3 later on in the season with another map or something. Give people something to come back to the game for. Then there's the new Little Bird, or returning Little Bird, I should say, because it's returning from previous Battlefield games. This already got leaked by the devs themselves when they added it back in Portal a couple of months ago. They did that accidentally. So we knew it was coming, but it is nice to see some gameplay of it, a classic heli in Battlefield. The gameplay I saw looked kind of similar to how it performed in Battlefield 3 and Battlefield 4, compared to the insane-o maneuverability that we had in 2042. It was just comically bad in that game. It was so ridiculous. So it looks like it'll fill a nice gap in the vehicle gameplay loop. But I will mention, like I said in a previous video, the devs are going to use Labs in the future to completely rework how vehicles play in Battlefield 6, and that's going to happen when they get into their testing of the Golmud Railway map. So however it ends up playing in Battlefield 6 when it launches with Season 2 is probably not how it's going to play when we get into Season 3. Oh, and apparently we're going to get some dirt bikes back in Battlefield 6. I think the last time we saw them was in Battlefield 4. There was an intro cinematic that somebody recorded and then posted. I think it's like the Season 2 intro cinematic to sort of advance the story between NATO and PAX. But in there's a clip of the dirt bike. That would be a nice addition, a speedy light vehicle to get between capture points. Now, I've kind of saved the most exciting thing for me until later on in the video, so we'll change gears a little bit here. Based on some data mining, this wasn't shown in any leaked Labs gameplay. This has come from data miners. But we may well be seeing the return of operations in Battlefield 6, which for me would be awesome. Battlefield 1 added this mode back in 2016, and it chained the maps together, and it brought a bit of narrative to each battle that you started. And that worked really well in Battlefield 1 because the operations, they mirrored actual campaigns and battles that were fought in World War I. Now, obviously, here in Battlefield 6, we've got this fictional war happening, so a little bit different. But I would love to see the maps paired up and turned into proper battles. Operations had these little cutscenes at the start of each map, and with a voiceover that would set things up for you. You'd have multiple battalions, these waves of attackers. So if you failed on one attack, you'd get a couple more chances. It was a really cool game mode. It sort of got ruined a bit with Battlefield 5 when DICE decided to add different game modes into it instead of just focusing on the breakthrough game mode, but let's not focus on that too much. I'd like to see the Battlefield 1 version of Operations back in Battlefield 6. That would be really cool. Now, according to leaks, the first operation that we could see is one that links Liberation Peak and Mirak Valley together, both of those being set in the same biome. And I did also want to mention the skins for Season 2, or at least the ones that got leaked out there on Reddit. There's screenshots and gameplay of them all over it. They actually look okay. They kind of look decent to me. Most of them are themed around the gas in Season 2. Lots of gas masks and protective clothing, and a fair few forest-inspired ones as well. Lots of foliage attached to them, all fitting right into the theme of the biome for Contaminated. And you know what I'd actually love to see, based on the fact that we're getting this new biome? I'd like to see map/biome-specific customization options for soldier skins in the menus. Options within customization that would set your soldier up with different camos based on the maps that you're playing on. That'd be pretty cool, because then you could have loads of different skins set up that would auto-apply to your soldier when a map loads in, rather than feeling like you have to change them every single time. So devs, if you're listening, that'd be a pretty cool feature for the future. So those are all the kind of high-level leaks that we got for Season 2 stuff. I'm actually pretty excited for it based on all of the things that we've seen. We, of course, still don't really know how many maps we're getting in Season 2. It will be more than one. That is for absolutely sure, based on the wording of the Contaminated map being just one of the Season 2 maps being tested in labs. But beyond more than one, we don't actually know how many we're getting. It might be just 2. That would be pretty disappointing if that were the case. I hope it's 3, because that would be really encouraging, a step up from Season 1. And if it was 4, I'd be wondering where the hell that map came from and why it wasn't added with Season 1, because that was the one that was lacking in content. But yeah, the only thing I'm concerned about is that gas mechanic, the hallucinogenic gas. If that does make it into the final game, I'm just not sure that that's a good thing. I just don't think it fits the vibe that Battlefield 6 kind of set up when it launched, this grounded military shooter. I really think EA and Battlefield Studios need to stick to that original vision and keep the tone of the game a bit more in check. If you do want to see the leaks yourselves, just go over to Reddit. That's what I did. There was loads of stuff over there, and you guys can see everything for yourself. I just can't show that stuff in my videos because EA would strike my channel, and I don't want that, obviously, but I can talk about them, so that's what we're doing. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Drop a like if you would, subscribe for more, and I'll catch you in the next one.